Hello and welcome to all of the books that I bought in 2024, aka a 2024 book haul. Alright, so at the end of 2023 I posted a I'm going on a book buying ban video. And now we're here at my 2024 haul. So clearly that didn't work well, but that video was never like a strict book buying ban, but I was kind of like trying to create some guidelines around book buying so that it was very intentional, and I will say I kind of fell off of that. So here I am back again to try and be more intentional with my book buying, and I'm starting a series called the TBR Cart Diaries, where I'm reading down my physical TBR, primarily focusing on books that I've bought within the last year. With that being said, I wanted to kick off the series with a basically TBR of all the books I bought in 2024 and haven't yet to read. So that's what we're doing, but I'm also going to include the books that I did buy in 2024 that I also have read. So this is kind of just a way to really like examine what my book buying habits have been like for the past year and to kind of like reset myself for the new year. Like, it's gonna be a vlog series, but obviously this is kind of like setting what the entire TBR is, and I'm in the middle of that vlog, so I have a lot more of like my thoughts on like why I'm doing this, like what my intentions are that you can find there. But in general, my rule of thumb is I'm going to be trying to like read books as I buy them. Notice if I don't read them like pretty soon within purchase, then they sit on my shelves for years. So I'm really just trying to be the kind of book buyer where I buy a book and I read it pretty soon. Within the time frame of purchase, and then that way it doesn't sit on my shelves unread for years and years. So with that being said, we're just gonna start quickly with the books that I bought in 2024 that I have read, just so we can see how that stacks up to the books that I bought and I haven't read. I definitely say in 2024 I read a lot more on my Kindle because I was very stressed this year. I got married. Planning a wedding is no joke. So, you know, it is what it is. And also I will say this is probably not a perfect system because I might forget things because it's been a long year. Okay, so anyways, let's just get started. So the first thing that I bought and I read in 2024 is the Legend of Desmar series by Helen Scherer. I might have bought this first book like end of 2023, but whatever, I'm counting it because I read and bought most of this series this year. Sorry, they were in the wrong order. We have Blood and Steel, Vow and Ruins, Fate and Furies, and Shadow and Storms. This is about a world where there's a prophecy that if women wield steel, there's going to be a catastrophic event happening. So we follow Thea, who really wants to be a warrior, where is outlawed, and she has a warrior war sword, Mentor Wilder, and it's just an absolutely amazing chef's kiss series. I love it so much. One of my top reads of the year for sure. So I actually read these books on my Kindle, but I had to have my book trophies because I love this series. Okay, we have The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller, which I read years ago. Love her. Trisha Levenseller is literally one of my favorite authors. She writes YA. I would consider it like YA fantasy romance. This book was just like the most like perfect like dark and twisty YA romance. I love them. I also got this pre-order card with the characters. It's just great. I loved it so much. It was so much fun. Enemies to lovers, and she is truly like a dark and twisted FMC who's trying to woo the Shadow King so that she can kill him. And I loved it. And then the next one is A Study in Drowning. This was probably one of my favorite books of 2023, and I got the exclusive edition that came out, and we just got news on the sequel. It was just like the most like thought-provoking, beautiful book that I've ever read. Like the writing, the messaging, made me cry, it made me feel all the feels. So I of course had to buy the deluxe edition because it is one of my favorites. How can I forget? From my already read books, I purchased and read House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. It's all annotated. I filmed an entire reading vlog for this book and never posted it. So I think I'm still going to edit it and post it because it's kind of timeless, right? It's more so like my experience and my review with this book, and I still do want to put it out there. Even if it gets like no views, I just want to post it. So I think I'm going to do that. But yeah, this book was a wild ride. All right, next, this book I might have bought at the end of 2023, but it's Reign of Shadows and Endings and Storms of Secrets and Sorrows by Melissa K. Rorick. This series is the most insane, twisted, dark, urban fantasy romance I've ever read. If you want dark and twisted in your fantasy romance, check this out. I just finished the third book, but I haven't picked up a physical copy yet, again, because I'm trying to rate in my book spending, and there's a bunch of like backlists, like book trophies and other kinds of books that I just want to pick up that I'm going to hold off on, and I think I have to think of some sort of like reward system for myself of like reading this many TBR books, I get to buy like one of my books off my list. But since there's no like special edition or anything like that, and I already read it on my Kindle, I'm not like rushing to buy the third one, although I do eventually want it for the collection that I already started. Also, I will say there's really no like rhyme or reason to the order I'm doing this. I'm just kind of pulling books off my shelves as I see them. So okay, next we have Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the UK copy with this foiled hardback, and then we have both the regular edition, which I read and annotated, and the Barnes & Noble edition. The regular edition has this under the covers and this on the end paper, and then the Barnes one just has the like reverse color hardcover. So yeah, I've been collecting all editions of this book because this is one of my favorite series. It's about Signa, who can see death, but this third book follows her cousin. So I love this series. I thought it was a perfect conclusion, and I already read it, obviously. Okay, next is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Everyone was talking about this book. I wanted to be back on my YA fantasy hype train. I don't quite reach for YA fantasy as much anymore, but like if there's one that's really popular, I know I will probably enjoy it, and I loved this one. It was just so much fun. The banter was great, and just reminded me why I fell in love with YA in the first place. So I really, really love this one. We're following Peyton, who is ordinary in a world where if you don't have powers, you are executed, and she ends up in these trials and she kind of has to fake her powers. It was really fun. I really, really love this one. Us in Ruins by Rachel Moore. I adore Rachel Moore as an author. She writes really fun YAs. This one is about a girl who goes on a school trip to Pompeii and accidentally awakens this statue of an explorer from the 1930s who got stuck under a curse, and it was really fun. It's like The Mummy meets Lizzie McGuire, and I really enjoyed this one. Okay, I just had to get to the bottom of my sprayed edge pile, but this is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. She also wrote the Bridge Kingdom series. I adore her. This book was Norse inspired and so much fun, and I just like love this metallic sprayed edge. You can see it like shining in the light. It's so pretty. We're following Freya, who gets bound to the like Viking chief, the Jarl, but you know, things are happening between her and the Jarl's son, and she also is a shield maiden with the blessed by the magic of one of the gods, I think. So they're trying to use her for her shield maiden magic. I really enjoyed this one. It's a duology, and the second book is coming out next year. And when we start with the books that I haven't read yet, we'll start with the sprayed edge pile since it's already kind of dissembled. Okay, next is Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Morer. Assistant to the Villain was my favorite book of 2023. So, you know, I had to read this one immediately, and we're following Evie. Oh, gotta take that bookmark out. We're following Evie, who is just an ordinary girl living in the kingdom trying to make ends meet, and she has a chance encounter with the, like, literally called the villain in the forest, and he hires her to be his assistant, and it's like literally he runs like an office of villainy, so it's like office humor but in a fantasy setting, and it's just like really campy and really fun, and I just adore this series, so of course I loved the sequel. Alright, next we have Thrown in the Dark by A.K. Caggiano. This is also like a fantasy rom-com in the similar vein to Assistant in the Villain. We follow this dark lord who accidentally binds this like sunshiny girl who's a thief to him. I love the series so much. I love the series so much. I started the second book and never finished it because I was like, I need to be in the headspace to read like my new favorite book ever, and then I never finished it. So this is definitely a series we're gonna work on in my physical TBR series because I have bought all of the physical books. Alright, next that I purchased in 2024 and read is Serpent and the Wings of Night. I read this in a vlog a while ago. Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Spoiler, you might see me reading that in a vlog soon. And Six Course Roses. I also have the new one, Songbird and the Heart of Stone, but I'm literally currently reading it, so it's elsewhere as I read it. But yeah, spoilers for what the theme of my first vlog in the series is going to be. Oh, and to mention, as I read down my physical TBR, like I want the vlogs to be a little bit more like have some kind of cohesive theme to bind them together, so that's why I'm going to be either reading like series or just books that have something in common. This was actually a present from Maddie at Madison Vox. It is the signing edition of Choosing Theo by Victoria Aveline. I absolutely adore this series, and it's such a nice gift. And it's an alien romance, and it is my favorite alien romance series, I think. This one and Zoe Draven are my two faves at the moment. I just love it so much. It's a planet where the men have to go to husbandry school to learn how to be a good husband. So this was a book that I bought as a book trophy because I just adore this cover. Una is a light fae, but she gets imprisoned in the shadow fae realm, and it's their romance. I think this is going to be like a series of interconnecting standalones where it follows a different couple each book, but the like overarching plot continues. But I just like, this was really good, really good. I love like the emotional depth of them, and I had to buy this book because this cover is just like one of my favorite covers ever. Bespelled by Lauren Thalassa. This is the sequel to Bewitched, and we're following Celine, who is trying to get into a coven, which is kind of like a college. So she has to go on like a mission to, I don't know, prove her witchcraft, and she ends up going on the plane to her mission, and the plane crashes in the middle of the jungle, and she ends up awakening like an ancient deity that thinks that she is his long lost wife that imprisoned him. It's crazy. It's so much fun. I love the series. This second book was just groveling extraordinaire. If you want a man that grovels, get you Memnon from Bespelled. It's definitely like kind of toxic, crazy like relationship dynamic, but I've read nothing else like it, and I'm absolutely gagged, obsessed. Okay, next is The Honey Witch, which was just like my favorite like springtime cozy fantasy favorite. We are following Marigold. Actually, I have a character art here. So we're following Marigold, who becomes the next Honey Witch, and she lives on this island and has to protect it. And then we have Lottie, who like doesn't really believe in this magic of the Honey Witch, and it's just a cozy fantasy following these two. It's sapphic, and like I just love the descriptions, and like I want to be a honey witch because it just sounds really cool. So I adored this one, and yeah, I picked up a copy. Next we have The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. I got the new like shiny editions, and I absolutely love this. I tend to prefer traditionally published copies over indie editions just because I do think that the binding quality is a little bit better, and that's nothing against indie authors. I think it's just the indie book like print on demand services that are available don't have the capacity to like have this kind of quality book. So when a book gets picked up traditionally, like I tend to just pick up the traditional copy, unless there's something like really special about any copy that I want to keep. So yeah, I need to pick up the rest of this series this way. I've read the first two, but I haven't read the rest. And again, that's kind of going to go on my backlist because there's nothing like super pressing about picking up the next few books. Like I can kind of pick them up when I have more money and less unread books on my shelves. Next is Phantasma. I feel like this book took the book world by storm, and I absolutely loved it. We're following Ophelia, who follows her sister into this like deadly game with demons, and she's also a necromancer, and you know, she has this ghostly assistant helping her through these trials. I loved it. It was so much fun. I loved the like relationship dynamic, and this book was just, it was everything. I love this book. I'm so excited for the next one. I'm so glad I picked it up physically and read it physically, and I just had such a fun time with it. Definitely there were some romances that were purchased and read. I don't know. I love reading romance, and I love reading romance like in a physical book too, so I tend to pick them up pretty soon after I buy them. We have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Heartbreakingly like angsty book that was amazing. Basically these two people are together for like a week in high school, and then they reconnect later on in their lives. Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. Oh my god, I love this book so much. We're following Misery, who is a vampire, and she ends up in an arranged marriage with the werewolf. And it was everything. And there is nodding in a traditionally published book. So speaking of nodding in a traditionally published book, The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. This was so much fun. This is like a paranormal urban Omegaverse book about two doctors, and she's an Omega and he's an Alpha. Is this Raylo fanfic? I don't know. He kind of gives Adam Driver. Do we think Adam Driver knows? Like, do you think he walks through the romance section and he's like, there's a disturbing amount of cartoon covers that look like me, Adam Driver. Like, that's his legacy. And that is just a wild, like, connection of events. He has inspired millions with his face on cartoon illustrated romance covers. Anyways, these are the things I think about. Yeah, this was so much fun. She has another one that just came out called Under Lock and Key, which is about the Loch Ness Monster, which is again gonna be on my backlist wish list of like books I want to pick up eventually once, you know, all the rest have been read down and being intentional about that. Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. I love Tessa Bailey. I tend to pick up her books. Again, there are a few that I haven't gotten that she released this year that I do think I will, again, backlist wish list, backlist wish list. I'll put on that. Yeah, this is a golfer romance. It was just like the exact brand of zany that Tessa Bailey is known for. He is so impressed by her line drive that they fuck on the golf course. So, okay, this series took the book world by storm, and that is the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. I love it. I love this like pop art style of the covers. We have Done and Dusted, Swift and Saddled, and Lost and Lassoed, and these are small town cowboy romances following the different people part of the Ryder family, and I love it, and I am excited for the fourth and final one, and I pretty much fell in love with Lila Sage this year. She's definitely, you know, one of now my top cowboy small town romance authors, and I will be reading whatever she's writing. A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire by Sarah Hawley. I love this series so much. I think this is the last one, which is like so sad. It's the Glimmer Falls series. It's like a paranormal rom-com, and we have Ben, who's just like this anxious werewolf. He doesn't really like his wolfy side. He's just kind of like the shy, quiet guy, and he accidentally, because he's lonely, gets drunk and buys a possessed crystal on eBay for 99 cents. And in that crystal lives Eleanor, who is a vampire succubus, and she just like wreaks havoc on his life. And I love just like the whirlwind character with like the steady calming presence. Their relationship worked so well, and I love them. It's just like the stabby FMC with like just the guy that like supports her being stabby, and I loved it so much. And of course we have some Elsie Silver. I picked up her two releases this year, Wild Love and Wild Eyes. This is the Rose Hill series, I think. I loved it. I mean, I love anything Elsie Silver writes. I think Wild Eyes is my favorite so far. I mean, there's only two, but this one is about, well, this one follows childhood friends that kind of reconnect, and this one follows like a country singer and a rancher, and she, you know, she can do no wrong in my eyes. I also have the Mountain Spines. I love Elsie Silver, and I will continue to buy her whole backlist. I think I have it over there. I don't feel like getting it right now. The first one, Off to the Races, in the Gold Rush Ranch, and I read a photo finish. I haven't picked it up yet, but I do need to read the last two in that series as well. I don't know if I'll read it on my Kindle or if I'll just buy the physical books at this point because they're out, but I do need to get those eventually. Okay, that is it for the books that I read that I actually bought this year. So now let's get to the unread portion. Definitely less than I thought there, not a bad amount, but definitely less than I thought there was going to be for books that I bought and read. So let's get to the part that is gonna hurt my heart a little bit. I'm trying to be less of a victim to the sprayed edge phenomena, where I want to buy something because it has an amazing sprayed edge and there's this like sense of exclusivity because it's only the first print run. I will say I maybe fell victim to that a couple times this year, but you live and you learn. So this pile that was here, we're gonna start there. First we have These Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Pendaranda. This cover is absolutely stunning, but then, I mean, it's so pretty. This is, again, like a celestial themed fantasy romance. Do you think I'm going to try to read this one relatively soon so I know if I like the series enough to purchase the sequels and subsequent books, because they are so pretty. I mean, look at that edge. So this one might be coming up soon on the TBR diaries because, again, I don't want to be buying something just because of an edge. So, but I don't want to miss out on it if I do enjoy the series and want to collect it. So there are some books that I'm going to try and prioritize based on like, okay, I need to read these to know if I want to buy the sequel. So that will be happening this year. Again, this one's on me. I just bought it because I was tempted. But it's so pretty. A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang, and this one is about one of the famous four beauties of ancient China. It's so pretty. I like East Asian inspired mythology stories, and I haven't read one in a while. So definitely call me out. I need to read this one soon, but it's so pretty. I couldn't help myself. It's so pretty. And good news, Good Morning America, they learned this is removable, so I can remove that when I want to read this. So I definitely should read it because I bought it. This was truly a cover buy, so I have to read it to make sure that I want to keep it because it's so pretty. Again, this was another one where I was like, I think I might like it, so let me just buy it before the edge goes out of print, what I think I'm gonna do when I come across that situation in the future and it's not like an author that I trust or something that I'm like haven't heard great reviews about that I'm like so sold that I think I'm gonna like it, because I am pretty easy to please. If something's popular, I'm probably going to like it. But this one I was unsure about and I had heard mixed reviews, and again, I have the sequel ordered, but like I definitely should read this to figure out if I want to continue to buy the sequel, because at the end of the day, if I don't like the book, I'm not gonna just buy it because of the edge. But this one is The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind, and this is The Edge. And we have these end papers, which is pretty cool. This one's urban, and this is really pretty. This one is urban fantasy, and it's set in a library, and there's monsters, and I was like, library settings. I love library settings, so I did come to buy this, but you know, I gotta be good and read it to determine. So in the beginning of the year, I did have the Fairy Loot Romantasy subscription. I have sold some of the books that I got from there, not all. I ended up canceling it because I was like, really, like, I don't need just like more books that I'm like unsure about just because they're pretty. But you know what, some of the books that I do have, I am keeping because I do like them. If there's one that I really love so much, maybe I can just buy it secondhand, but who knows. The ones that I sold, I didn't even sell like at a profit. Like I sold it for maybe less than I bought it for, so maybe there's hope for the secondhand market for the Fairy Loot Romantasy box, but as of right now, okay, so this one is, I actually think I'm going to really like this series because I've seen so many people talking about it, and it's the Bonded by Thorns series by Elizabeth Helen, which is actually like I think a sister writing duo. We have this cover, slay, girly pop, like this. Looks like that here, and here are the two of the guys on this end page and two of the guys on this end page. If Fairy Loot ends up doing like the rest of the series, I totally would. Oh, and then this is the reverse dust jacket. Maybe I would consider buying it, but I would need to like read this book first to make sure. But from what I've seen, it's a Why Choose Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I'm kind of over Beauty and the Beast retellings, but I feel like this one I've just seen so many good things that I'm just gonna go for it. So hopefully I'll get to read to this one relatively soon. But since I'm in no rush about like any sequel special editions or whatever, you know, maybe it won't be as soon. But we'll see, because I've been seeing a lot of hype about this, so I do want to read this one. But I'm gonna hold on to this one for now. Same with Lore of the Wild. It is a title I've always been interested in. Look at that mushroom edge. It's so pretty. Here is the print. This was the first Romantasy box. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You know, I'll read this, maybe eventually figure out if I want to continue on with the sequel or if I want to keep this book. But again, it's one that I am interested in enough that I didn't want to just get rid of it without trying it first. And then next we have Nectar of the Wicked by Ella Fields. I mean, this one's so pretty, and I've heard this is like true enemies to lovers. It's like winter inspired, so maybe I would pick it up in the next few months. But again, not one that I wanted to necessarily just sell because I was unsure about it, so we're gonna, and then this is The Edge. Okay, and then to top off the sprayed edge pile, I have The Coven and the Cursed by Harper L. Woods. I mean, the roses, I just couldn't deny it. This is supposed to be, here's just the end pages, a spicy professor and college student dark academia vampire story, so I was like, it just sounds perfect. Again, this is one I wish I read on Kindle Unlimited first so I could tell if I wanted to buy these editions, but I've read other things by Harper L. Woods and I've enjoyed them, although it's her what lurks, what blank blank beyond the veil series. I know that one is also getting traditionally published, and they have like neon edges. I'm not super into the special edition, and I didn't love it enough that I wanted to buy a rebook physically, but I will, I think, when the next book comes out, like continue to read it. But yeah, I mean, I was like, and you know what, if I really hate them at the end of the day, there is Pango Books. And I did recently unhaul like over 150 books, so you can go check out that video. Okay, let's see. So I bought When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Again, this was one that everyone loved so much, and it's apparently like beautiful lyrical writing with dragons. Like, there is a certain point where I see a book advertised and I see everyone I know loving it, that I know I am going to love it, so I will take the leap to purchase it. Like, it's just gonna happen, right? Like, I'm gonna buy into the hype, and like, that's okay. I just need to make sure that, like, you know, I'm just being more mindful with it. So that lives here, but then because the way everyone's talking about it, I know I'm gonna want to like annotate it as well, so I did buy the paperback so that I could annotate it. listen, I trust the people that have read this and love this, and so this is going to be like my like messy annotation edition, and then I also have the US, you know, special edition, so it is what it is. Okay. You know, in Game of Thrones is the scene where like Cersei's walking through the streets and the priestess is like, shame, shame. That's how I feel right now. Okay, alright, so next, this one I think I bought in 2023, so we can put that away. Again, another fantasy romance that like I definitely could have held off on purchasing this one, and the sequel is going to come out soon, so I think I can hold off on purchasing like the sequel until I read the first one, because there is no like limited edition part of it, but is Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. Look at that like foiling. It's about a princess who is separated from her dragons, and then she also has, she was like a bodyguard, and apparently has really good found family, and I've just heard really good things about this book. So I bought it, but again, I probably could have held off until I was, you know, my physical TBR is read down a little bit more, but you know, I think I'm gonna love it, so that's that. This one I almost wish I didn't buy into the hype with. It's The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. Again, that's why I'm going to try to be more selective with my ordering next year, like, and not just buy something because it has a pretty edge. I have the Kiss of Deception trilogy. Haven't read it yet, so I don't even know if I like her writing. And I have all these books of hers, so we'll see. But yeah, maybe I should have held off on buying this one. This book though, no regrets, Air by Sabaa Tahir. No, I have not finished an Ember in the Ashes series yet because I suck, but I am going to finish it eventually. And here is what the naked hardback looks like. I actually went to a signing for this, and I just love hearing Sabaa speak. It's signed to me. So now I think I have almost all of my Sabaa books signed because I've gone to multiple signings for her. I saw her at BookCon, R.I.P. BookCon, I miss you, in like 2018. I need a big BookCon to come back to New York City because it's the most convenient location for me. And just like the joy of BookCon in 2018, 2019 is unmatched, and I'm really, really sad that it's gone. Anyways, I digress. I do really need to get back into Ember in the Ashes. I bought the last two of the Zodiac Academy series. I have a whole Zodiac Academy reading vlog. These were the last two books that I needed to read. This was 8 and 9. They are chunky, and I bought these because these editions are specifically going out of print, and they have traditionally published versions that are coming out. I don't know if I'm going to pick those up. I think I'm just kind of content with my indie version collection. You know, maybe that's something eventually, like it's not any limited thing, so maybe eventually I'll pick it up, but for right now I have these books, and I do need to do a dedicated reading vlog to these because I've vlogged all of my Zodiac Academy experiences thus far. I bought this book because it sounds like everything I'm going to love, and I didn't read it initially because the Wednesday book, what is it called? Boycott was going on, and I wanted to support, but now that that has ended, I definitely want to read this soon. And this is about a seamstress and the prince I think she's commissioned to seamstress for, and it just sounds like whimsical and lyrical and wonderful, and I like love whimsical stories. Here's the pre-order art print, so yeah, maybe I will get to that this winter, or maybe I'll do like a whimsical themed TBR card diary installment. We have Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, which is a retelling of Macbeth from the perspective of the lady. I am absolutely obsessed with Ava Reid. I will basically be purchasing anything that they have written. And this one I've heard is like really, really cool. Definitely probably leans a little bit more like lit ficky, I want to say, in the, you know, fantasy space, but I will be reading her eventually because I love Ava Reid, but I feel like I have to be in the mood for like a big brained book. I picked up the paperback exclusive of Fourth Wing because it's Fourth Wing. I'm gonna buy it. Oh yeah, I think we can include Iron Flame. Did that come out in 2023 or 2024? I can't remember. But anyways, if it was 2024, I bought that this year and read it. But yeah, I guess I could count this in my already read section, but you know, I love the series, so it's okay, but I was tempted. The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. As a big Cruel Prince stan, I just did need to pick up the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I didn't buy the regular print version. I probably will buy that when I read The Stolen Heir, because I am still interested in continuing on with the series. So I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive though, because I wanted to get it before it went out of print, because because I have everything else in the Barnes & Noble exclusive. We have the Divine Rivals duology by Rebecca Ross. Rebecca Ross is literally one of my favorites. I just think her writing style is so beautiful, and I've only read her less popular novels, which is Dreams Lie Beneath and The Queen's Rising. And I love her. I'm obsessed with her. So this is her really, like, I feel like this book has catapulted her to, like, fame. So I really need to read this. This is about rival journalists kind of stuck in the middle of a war between gods, and I just feel like it's gonna wreck me in the best way possible. So again, this could also be another themed reading vlog that I do. I also recently picked up A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to A River Enchanted, which is like her adult Celtic mythology book. It's called the Elements of Cadence series, and again, I'm obsessed with her, so I know I'm gonna love it. And this cover actually went out of print. Like, I couldn't buy it anywhere online, so I saw somebody selling it on Pango in good condition. I was like, I need to pick up this cover because I need it to match the hardcover I have of the first book, and no regrets. Like, when it comes to my favorite authors, I don't regret it. Okay, so next we have Throne of Secrets by Kiri Maniscalco. Again, favorite author. I read everything she's ever published besides this one. So we have the Barnes & Noble exclusive and the regular, and this one is following the Prince of Gluttony, and I think he gets entangled with a rival, like a journalist, kind of like writing slander against his house. I've been following along the Kingdom of the Wicked series, and now the like spin-off adult series. I'm very glad she shifted it adult because literally they are the princes of hell. You kind of need to be a little bit adult for that. I loved the first book in it, which is Throne of the Fallen, and I hope to really love this book too. And I love the like lighter colors that they're doing for the Barnes exclusives. So I think that these look so pretty next to each other, but because I am just in general a Kiri Maniscalco stan, I also have the regular edition so that I can annotate. For this next one, we're just gonna move over, and that is, well, okay, that is the, let's first go over, I have a I have A Promise of Peridot and A Reign of Rose, which is the second and third book in the Dawn of Onyx trilogy. I read this book when it was indie published. Actually, I did like an arc for it, which is so cool to see like how far the series has come. And yeah, I know I need to pick up the next few books, but yeah, I just have this, since this one's next, this one's on my TBR cart. Okay. So again, I was tempted by kind of like the exclusiveness factor of the Plated Prisoner series, a series that I know I'm gonna love, hopefully, because I spent all this money on these first edition spines with the gold dripping down because I didn't want to miss out. So we have Guild, Glint, Gleam, Glow, Gold, and Goldfinch. So again, a series that I can definitely do a dedicated reading vlog to. And then here I have Powerful and Reckless, because again I read Powerless and loved it, and I want to continue on with the series, so hopefully I get to these soon because the third book is coming out at the end of the year, and I just love being on the YA fantasy hype train. Next we have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo is one of my favorite authors. I literally have like almost an entire shelf dedicated to her, so I had to pick this up. And again, because it has the black edge, I was like, well, I have to get it before the black edge goes away. And this is a historical fantasy set in the 1500s Spanish Inquisition. So I know I'm gonna love it when I read it. Just, I have to get to it. It's the story of my life. Next we have Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This is a like horror that is supposed to be like just beautifully written, so I really wanted to buy a physical copy, and I love this cover. And I think I got it for like $5, so you know, you can't turn up a deal like that. Next I got The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. I've been reading Erin A. Craig for years now, and I love her. I have this one and Small Favors are the only two that I need to catch up on, but I love her just like in general, and I had to get this gold foiled edge because it's so pretty. So she just like has the perfect blend of like fantasy and horror and romance, and I love it so much. I eat it up every time. So I definitely will want to get to this soonish, and just like this cover is so pretty. I love it. It's so gothic. And the last kind of like more horror book that I bought is Where the Dark Stands Still. I literally was like staring at this in the stores for like ever. It's just so gorgeous. We're following Liska, who like has magic, but magic is bad. So she goes on the forest, like wish on this flower, and she attracts the attention of like a demon, and he gives her a bargain that in order to like get her wish on this flower, she has to live in his house for a year. So people are saying it also gives like Howl's Moving Castle, which I loved, and I'm just like obsessed with this cover. And again, like I do think I'm gonna love it, so it's fine. I know my own taste, okay? I'm sorry to feel a little overwhelmed, but like all these books that I'm showing, I don't regret buying. There's just a lot of them. But that's life. I have the Not in Love Barnes & Noble exclusive with this spicy art on the inside. Again, I love Ally Hazelwood. I usually read her releases immediately, but I just like wasn't in the headspace for it because I know I'm gonna love it so much. And it almost is like too close to my real life because she works in biotech. So I was like, but I do want to read it eventually. So I have this one because it has like the metallic, and then I have the regular one on my TBR cart, which I'll pull out later because it's kind of stuck. I have books 2 and 3 in the Throne or the Villains of Virtues series. Again, a series that I know is going to be one of my all-time favorites, and I just couldn't read it because I was like I'm not in the in the mood to read my favorite book ever. So, but again, a book series I want to be getting back to. I have some from Blood and Ash books. I have books 3 and 4 in the A Shadow in the Ember series, which again I've been doing dedicated reading vlogs to this series, so I will be doing a reading vlog for these when I get to them. And I do still have to read the Soul of Blood and Ash and the compendium, which I think have some critical information, so like I will have to at one point dedicate a reading vlog to all 4 books because I would love to binge before the last book comes out, or maybe I do it all when the last book comes out. Like there's no pressure for me to feel like I have to read everything tomorrow. Okay, we are rolling over the TBR cart. I'll just give you a little hinty hint at what it looks like. So let's start with the romance. So I got The Striker by Anna Huang. This is her soccer romance. I've been reading them on my Kindle, but I thought I would really like this one, so I bought it physically. I was like, I specifically saved this for the summer, just for the summer, and then I didn't read it in the summer, so maybe next summer. This one, I don't know, it's a little cozy, witchy one. I don't know why I bought it. Sarah Adams, I really like some of her other books. I think this one was not in 2024, but I bought the rule book. Amy Leah, one of my fave romance authors, I bought The Catch. Again, thinking I was going to read it in summer, and then summer came around and I was not in the mood for romances. This is the regular edition of Not in Love. Hopefully I get to it soon. Okay, so Emily Henry, I've been collecting her paperback, so I got the paperback of Happy Place. I feel like this is just like a pile of books to read in like when the weather warms up, so I'm not really going to be focusing too much on these because I don't feel like I reach for romance like too much in the winter. And then we have Forget Me Not and Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Again, just I was convinced I was gonna like them. King of Sloth. So that is that for the romance. Not as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I feel like most of or at least half the romance books I bought this year I did actually read, which is nice that I kind of have a higher throughput rate on the romance books. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the meat and the potatoes, which is my TBR cart. So if I think about all the books I just pulled out from my shelves that I haven't read yet, I am going to get overwhelmed, okay? Like that's just the reality. However, I am kind of like using this TBR cart to curate my next reads, and these are kind of like the options that I can pull from. If there's really an unread book on my shelf that I'm really feeling more than this cart, then so be it. I will read that instead. You know, I'm not gonna not read an unread book just because it's not on the cart, but the idea is that I'm pulling the books that I'm thinking about and I want to read soon-ish onto this cart, so it gives me like a smaller chunk to work with so I don't feel so like overwhelmed. So like when I had Songbird and the Heart of Stone, like that was on this TBR cart and I picked it off of my TBR cart and I felt good about it. So I just pulled off these 2 books were on the TBR cart, but I'm gonna put them to the side for now because I already showed them. So, and again, I also showed When the Moon Hatched already, so let's put that to the side. So, I have this book, which is the Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which I started, I just like couldn't handle it in the moment. But I know I'm gonna love it because it's like whimsical fantasy romance. Whimsical fantasy rom-com, and it's about like academics and they're trying to capture this like magical bird, and within like the first few chapters they so it's like kind of like Regency setting, and they like open their umbrellas and they the umbrella like spins and they like go across like a cavern, and like that is just like the coolest, funniest thing ever. Like, I know I'm gonna adore this book. Again, I just was not in the headspace for a lot of books this year, and it was just really weird. So anyways, that's why we're doing this project. Then we have How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. This girlie is a biologist. Again, I picked it up because they said like the spine is like the first print run spine or whatever. I do think for these kinds of books, like I do see them in my Target for like a long, long time. So I think there's probably enough in circulation that if I picked up the series and I really wanted to continue reading it, I could probably get the spine on Pango or some other used book like platform if like I missed it. But I gotta read that. Okay, this one actually was sent, so thank you. I did not spend my own money on it. And this one's Long Live Evil. Again, this is like more in like a funny fantasy, and it's actually like, so in Manpause there's this thing called sorry, I'm not like super into that like world, so I don't know so well. I think it's called like an isekai or something like that, where it's like specifically about a main character that gets sucked into the plot of a book and becomes the villainess. So this girl gets sucked into her favorite book, and instead of becoming the heroine, she becomes the villain. So oh my god, I think it's gonna be so much fun. This one I bought in 2023, so we can just like not count it right now. Okay, Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I do think maybe I'm gonna shelf this one because I do think that this one would be fun to save until like all of the books are out and some of the other ones on my TBR cart are read down, because these books are coming out in the foreseeable future. If it was like more than a year, I probably would just read it because I also just enjoy anticipating sequels. So I might save this for more so of like a binge read situation. So I'm actually gonna unshelf this from the cart, put it somewhere else for now, and focus on other things. Okay, Fall of Ruin and Wrath. I had the B&N exclusive edition, and I ended up just buying the blue one. Again, I might deprioritize this one because there is no sequel announced, and there are other ones that I think could be more interesting for the time being, so do that. I already showed Powerful. I already showed a Fire in the Flesh. This one I really want to get to is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. It's like a dark gothic fantasy with a tarot card magic system, and she's a monster living in her head, and it just sounds so fun. This one might go with like my more whimsical reads, which is Half a Soul, about a girl who gets half of her soul taken when she's a child, and her romance with somebody in like a Regency setting, which is so fun. This one is an ARC that I was sent unsolicited. It's like tarot card based magic, but again, because I was sent it unsolicited, it's not like super high priority for me. The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller is the companion novel, and again, it has pictures to The Shadows Between Us, so I do really want to get to this one soonish because I love Trisha Levenseller so much. So that is high priority. This one is the last book in the Defy the Night series, which I love Defy the Night when I read it, and I haven't read this one yet, but I really want to read the conclusion of the series because I had so much fun with it. Next, I bought into the hype like everyone else, and I got a copy of Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I've just heard this is like, you know, the new big thing in fantasy romance. It's getting a TV show, so I said why not, and I bought it. But again, maybe I could have held off on this. Maybe I should have read it on my Kindle before I bought a physical copy, but we're here now, and we're just gonna, you know, repurpose as time goes on. This is something I got as an ARC. It's out now, but I just have it on here. And then the last one is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. Again, this is supposed to be just like, it's called the Mead Mishaps series. They're just like cute little novels that are fantasy, spicy, and are comedic. So I love that combination of things. That was a lot. I do feel slightly overwhelmed by the amount of unread books that I have, but it's like I either read them or I don't read them. But like, they're here, right? And I think the thing is like not feeling like, okay, I have all these unread books, I need to read through them all like by tomorrow. It's like a long haul project to just like refocus and make sure that if I'm buying a book, I'm reading it. So again, I have these 2024 titles that I purchased, but in 2025, I'm gonna really be trying, okay, I bought this book, I need to read the first book first, and I need to, you know, do these steps to make sure that this is a book I want to be collecting, and just kind of like honing in on my book buying and buying like only like the most anticipated books that I will actually read, and trying to leverage other like digital resources before I buy a physical copy. So like if a physical copy is out but it's also on Kindle Unlimited and I'm unsure if I want it in my collection, okay, So yeah, I know this is a lot when you look at it like on a, but this is a whole year. So, you know, I like when I look at these books, there's none of these books that I look at and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this book, I'm just like gonna get rid of it. Like, I want to read all of it. It's just overwhelmed by the amount of books that I want to read, but it would be a sad world if there were no books to read. So again, we're gonna set up this TBR cart with the, you know, primary focus and focus in on that, and then as time goes on, you know, things will get shelved as they're read and we can pull more to the TBR cart as well, balancing it with new books that I'm getting. I kind of have set up my pre-orders so that I really am only purchasing like 2 to 3 books a month to read, so hopefully that should be a little bit more manageable, and I have a plan going forward to make sure my book buying doesn't go crazy. So keep an eye out for more content about that. And again, tune into more of the TBR Cart Diaries as I tackle some of these books. Let me know if you have any books that I pulled out that you like really want to see me read. Let me know and I could do some themed vlogs around that. But yeah, that's all for now. And I'm gonna go cry because I have so many unread books, but it's fine. Okay, have some fun, read some books, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.